How would you feel, Shaq, if you were still playing?
Listen, I just feel that everything about this Super League goes against what I believe the game should stand for and represent. Listen, I understand that the big clubs pay their fair share and they're carrying a heavier burden of debt, and this is one way to address that. But if you're carrying more debt than everybody else in today's game, with the revenues that as they've been and how they've exploded over the last 30 years or so, then I think this is not just an issue around increasing those revenues. It's a question around how you do your business and how you continue to chase that holy grail, as it were. And for me as a player, I just feel that, again, even for those who play at the highest level, whether it's the Premier League, the Champions League, World Cups, we are there in no small part to so many others who don't ever step onto a World Cup pitch or will never see a Champions League minute. And we have a responsibility to those. And just to shirk that responsibility and my payoff being quite literally that, an increased salary, I just feel the game is better than that.
Gab, it's really difficult, I know, to try and put some sort of time on this. But, for example, could the Super League kick off in August?
I think that would be entirely, that would be hugely unlikely. And look, I want to stress this. What the Super League clubs want isn't to break away. They want to have their Super League with their 15 clubs in there, and another 5 clubs that qualify as per normal, whether via the Champions League or the Europa League or winning this league or that league, have some qualification process. And they want their league to sit atop the Champions League, sorry, the UEFA competitions. That's what they want to get to, and that's what they hope to negotiate with UEFA. If UEFA continue with their hard line, no, it's not going to happen. The Super League's not going to happen. They've got an issue with the number of clubs, obviously, if with Bayern Munich saying no as well. And I think more broadly, and I think this is one of the difficulties, all these clubs want more money, right? Who's going to say no to that? But the reasons behind it are all very, very different. They're in different situations. Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United don't need this money. They would like this money, but they don't need this money. Liverpool, Barcelona need this money, and Juventus need this money, because what Shaq said before about the way football's gone in the last 10 years, revenues have doubled over the last decade. On top of that, you had financial fair play, which meant that in the last 2 years, European football on aggregate was net positive. They were in profit. So then the pandemic comes and they take a huge hit. But what this means is that they weren't running their businesses necessarily as well as they could have been or should have been in those years. They took certain risks, and something unforeseen like the pandemic comes along, and then they pay a steeper price for it. That is a very different situation, even within the group of 12. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to make a compelling case that's going to take, it's going to bring UEFA back to the table, and certainly not on those terms, unless they're willing to concede something really, really important.
We've run out of time, Gab, but just one last thing. Have we jumped the shark? Is there any coming back? Can we wake up tomorrow and everything will just be okay again?
Everything's going to be okay time-wise, but if your question is, can these clubs go back into a Champions League that looks a lot like the one that was approved today? I genuinely think yes. I think if I asked Sheffrin that very question today, if they come back and they want to talk, are you going to listen to them? And he said, yeah, on my terms. What does that mean? That means that they've left a little bit of wiggle room. It's going to be much closer, at least that's what UEFA say, to the UEFA plan. It's not but you're still going to have merit. You're not going to have guaranteed places. You're going to have all these elements in place. Watch out also for FIFA to get involved somehow. Gianni Infantino is going to address the UEFA Congress on Wednesday. Obviously, he's almost like a third party to this, although obviously he's backed UEFA. But there are other elements that could generate money, like the FIFA Club World Cup, which obviously he's been pushing, which he wants to get his hands on, an expanded version of that. Something like that could satisfy those clubs, because ultimately, let's not kid ourselves. It's not that Joel Glazer and people like that, Andrea Agnelli, it's not like they necessarily fussed about having their own league or the Champions League. All they want is to make sure that their clubs are sustainable and they have the money rolling in. Whether that comes from a FIFA Club World Cup that's expanded, whether that comes from more congestions from UEFA, I don't think these people care one way or another. So I think there is room to compromise. I think we can go back in that sense. Whether in terms of the damage and the sense of betrayal that some of these people have put out, people like Andrea Agnelli, people like the Liverpool owners, who were viewed very differently by their own fans, I'm not sure. I think it's going to take a lot.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.